Hey, it's Troy here, and welcome to the shop, and welcome to TNO Live. I appreciate you being here. This is going to be a lot of fun once we get this all kicked off and going. But I thought I'd have a quick little video here to share an update on some fishing results from yesterday, a trip I did yesterday, and I had posted on my social media accounts, Instagram specifically, if you follow me there. I pulled up to a lake, and I was getting ready to go out and do some fishing with my small dog, Winston, who's a small white Pomeranian who goes with me quite often. And so a lot of people were giving us thumbs up and good lucks, which is really cool. But when I got off the water, I had a lot of messages, people asking where we found them or did we find them, what were the fish doing, were their shad active. They were trying to figure it out. So I know a lot of people inquire and like my information. And of course, I like to follow other people too. You know, help us build patterns and find out what's going on with the fish in certain regions or certain conditions. So I'm based out of the Midwest. I'm south of St. Louis, in a town called Festus, Missouri. About 30 minutes south of me is a lake. It's a private lake. That's why I don't mention the name. And I go there quite often when I'm not on the bigger lakes and fishing hard on them. I go to this lake quite often. It's got great fishing, got great structure, and it's also great because it's close, so I can get some good content for the social media pages and also for my sponsors. So we went to this lake and we was fishing that, and so here's kind of what happened, kind of what went down. Okay, so here's the results of what we found out, and I'm also going to throw in a day from last week. So today is Tuesday, April 4th, so we were on the water yesterday, which was Monday, April 3rd. You know, so that's where we went yesterday. I was on the lake with Winston the Wednesday before, so I'm not going to do the math on that. So yesterday was April 3rd. The Wednesday before, we were on the same lake. Now, when we were on the lake last Wednesday, when we got there, it was a pretty clear day. It was about 62 degrees and there was a real light wind, and the water temperature was 57 degrees on average. We found some places, a tad more, but on average it was 57 degrees. When we were there that last Wednesday, we couldn't find any fish in the shallow active at all. And actually there was about 5 other bass boats there, and I talked to 4 of them, and they were all beating the banks and none of them had any action. So Winston and I ended up doing some deep water searching on the graphs, on our Lowrance, on our nitro here, and we found fish. In about 20 foot of water, we found some bass, and they were feeding on schools of shad, which were about 20 foot of water. Now we were looking at water, 20 to 24 foot deep, and they were holding right around the 18 to 20 foot deep area, and they were feeding on shad and kind of staging. They weren't really aggressively feeding, but occasionally you'd see them go up and get some. Otherwise, they were kind of staging on structure or just above the structure. So that was a week ago. They were down deep, 20 foot of water, and not active in the shallows. So here we go from that Wednesday till yesterday, which was Monday. Winston and I get to the lake. When we got there, it was in the 50s. We predicted to be up into the 60s. Very windy. The wind was 12 to 15 mile an hour, and gusts were 25 mile an hour. So it was very windy. It was partly to mostly cloudy when we got there, but by the time we left, it was clear. So that was the conditions we found by the land. The water temperature was 57 degrees again. It was still 57 degrees, so we had the same water temperature. But I was hoping maybe they had started moving. Now, one thing I'm going to tell you about this lake is a little bit of a late bloomer. It's a late starter. A lot of your other lakes, when it gets to 57 degrees, the bass are a little more active than they usually are at this lake. This is it's always been kind of a late start lake. Regardless of the temperature, it always seems to be a little behind some of the other bigger lakes or some of the other, I guess bigger lakes, Table Rock Lake, Lake of the Ozarks, Bull Shoals. It's always a little behind what they're doing there. So anyway, we got there with those conditions, and it was really windy. So we went ahead and went out. And the first place I wanted to go I was hoping if they started pulling up, I wanted to be near a channel, not on the edge of it, but I want to be within 100 yards of a channel with some shallow tapered grass nearby. And I had a perfect spot for that on this lake. But when we got there, the wind was way too strong. It was blowing us all over the place. I mean, I got spot lock and I locked that on, but even when I locked that on, we just couldn't feel much on our lines. It was just so windy. It was actually starting to cap there a little bit. So we didn't stay there long. So I moved to another part of the lake where I know there's a lot of rock and some grass blended in places. And again, about 100 to 120 yards from deep water. And so when we got to that spot, it didn't take long. Probably about 10 minutes after being there, we caught our first fish. So lo and behold, what happened was we ended up fishing for 3 hours. We ended up catching 7 bass. Most of them were pretty small. We did lose one about 3.25 pounds. I was positioning the boat in 17 to, I'm gonna say 15 to 17 foot deep water where the nitro was positioned. And we were casting toward the bank in them shallow tapers where there was rock, not chunk rock, but big rock, not big rock, but chunky rock, fist size rock, and grass blended in some areas. And so we were casting up towards the bank and bringing back at an angle. And most of the fish we caught were whenever that bait got into that 4 to 6 foot range. And that's where we were catching them. So they were pretty aggressive bites. Every fish we caught, and even the one I lost, because I got a good look at him, were very pale. They were very pale yellowish, whitish yellow. So that tells me the fish just came up, really. That's telling me they just came up within that time I was telling you from the previous week. So they're starting to move up is what it's telling me. What I'm reading is they're just starting to move up. That's why they're still pretty pale, but they were in the shallows. We still seen some on the graph down deeper and some of the larger ones, but we did find quite a few fish in the shallow region. And so that's where we caught all of our fish. I did catch them all in a spinner that I can't show you. It's a spinner I'm developing. It's a lure I'm making, trying to bring to market soon. And I caught every fish on that. Now, I've got some great sponsors who make some great products, and I love fishing with them. But I dedicated that time to use my bait just so I could get some good testing on it, because I just kind of redesigned a couple things on it. And I wanted to just throw it most of the time. Of course, I had some of the other products with me, and I threw some of them, but I really wanted to concentrate on my spinner just to kind of get some testing done, So I caught every fish on that lure of mine, and I told you about how I caught them and where they were at. I was throwing I always like to throw monofilament a lot. I'm not huge on braid, but of course I use it, and I'm not huge on fluorocarbon. I'd rather throw a monofilament. With some of the good rods nowadays, you don't have to worry about having that sensitivity on some of these good rods. Is just fine, in my opinion, with monofilament. High Seas Black Widow Monofilament is a very small diameter and very strong line. I'm not sponsored by them, but I love their product, and that's what I was using. So I was using that with my spinners, and it was working really well. So all in all, it was a good day. Like I said, by the end of the day when we got off the water, it was pretty clear, very windy, mid-60s. So it was almost like the conditions the week before, except the wind was a lot stronger yesterday. So hope I didn't confuse you trying to explain all that. I just kind of wanted to give you a quick update. So hopefully on that lake, the fish are starting to transition and move. And so I'll get back down there again soon. I would be back down there today, but it's even windier today. It's about mid 30 mile an hour gust today with some storms coming. And then we got a big cold front coming in. So we're not going to go down there for a couple of days. We'll let Mother Nature do her thing, and we'll see what it does and how it transpires from there. And we'll have some more updates on all of our journeys and all of our trips with you, as well as a lot of other fun stuff coming up on this page. Lots of tips, lots of tricks. We'll even do some live feeds right from the water and right from the docks and everything, even if it's a bad day or a good day. If you're stuck in the office or stuck on the road or stuck at home, it would be fun to kind of broadcast some of that to you all so you can have some fun with us. I want to interact and have you all involved as much as possible, and then share information with you to help you put patterns together or give you tips and go from there. So thanks again for tuning in. I appreciate you all so much. Y'all have been great followers on my social pages, and I hope a lot of you people will click subscribe and give me a chance here to have this page be really fun and informative for you as well. Have a good one. Thank you so much.